Praise be to God, the cowboy priest here, always looking to keep an eye on the flock to protect them against the wolf and the hireling. And today we celebrate the feast of Saint Stephen of Hungary. And he's what defines to true Christian leadership. He became the king of Hungary around the turn of the first millennium, and he worked with Rome for the Christianization of the peoples of Hungary. He was a great Christian leader, and that stands in opposition. Today's video I titled Beware of the State, because those kind of ideologies are in direct opposition to the people of God. And Christ was the one who said, "It was for freedom's sake that I set you free." And so therefore, as St. Paul said, we are solicitous not to put back on the yoke of slavery. And the idea of the state in these kind of philosophies is that the state becomes like God. That was the philosophy of Hegel and Marx and all those who are in league with them. And that is tremendously oppressive to freedom to God's people and to freedom to faith especially. That's why when you look at those who embrace Marxism, their first objective and their primary objective is to crush the faith. And that's why it is necessary for you to be able to grasp these things intellectually so that you can see clear the enemy. Because when these things remain hidden, before you know it, they have already enslaved the people from freedom. And so I want you to be able to recognize these things. And the greatest threat to your way of life, which is already upon us. For example, these notions that the state can have power, unlimited power over God's people, which they have been negotiating for increasingly here in the United States, that's foreign to the founding principles that our founding forefathers built this country on. It's foreign to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, to the Declaration of Independence. And even though those documents, which I believe were divinely inspired to men, they weren't necessarily written to contradict these philosophies. They in fact are inherently wise in their wisdom to contradict these offenses, these threats. And that's why I want you to be able to, you need to know the sacred scriptures. You need to know that document which is first and foremost to our freedom, and then these documents that are secondarily to that. Great inspired documents. The Constitution of the United States of America, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. And it's important that you need to intellectually understand these threats to it, which namely are Marxism, socialism, communism. And that way you can be able to see clearly to fight against it. And you're able to perceive imminent dangers that are facilitated by the adaptation of these ideologies. For example, to the economy right now. food shortages, high gas prices, high taxes, increase exponentially of government power. These things are all threats to freedom. And you need to recognize it, that you can do what you can to thwart the plans of these world powers to dominate people. It should, gas prices have been slowly going down since they went up to $5. Right now it's more or less the low $3 range, or low to mid $3. Gas prices should be tomorrow, they could be less than $2 a gallon, and should be that way. But because of restrictions and intentional plans of these powers that are against us, they tried to lull people into say, oh, it's going down, it's okay, it's back in the $3 range. It should never be that. It should never gone so exorbitant as it was, and nor should it be so heavy to our people. I explained to you before, unharnessed, our ability to be energy independent is right there. We have the ability to tap into oil reserves and oil sources that we could be energy independent again tomorrow. But the powers that be do not desire that. They desire to have control over us, and that's heavy to be shouldered to God's people. And the food shortages, high food prices, milk, eggs, meat, the essentials for life, we've never seen them so high before. And that's unnecessary. When you see the way that Marxist regimes have operated throughout the history of humanity, they create food shortages in order to oppress, to create division among people, to create crisis situations, to in turn increase their power. And that's why you see, like right now, there's absolutely, it's going to be tremendously oppressive to God's people to have the IRS increased to an army, 87,000 new IRS agents. And that is tremendously restrictive to God's people. And so it is important that you be aware to these things, that you say no to these things, and that you are solicitous to make your voice known. I've told you, from the local level to you need to communicate to your state representatives, your congressmen, your senators, and to tell them this is unacceptable. And unless you do something about it, I will never vote for you again. Because otherwise, as it is, the noose of slavery will continue to tighten around your neck. And